Okay, so the Kola Map for DCS World came out a couple of days ago. This map was produced by Orbix, who's got a lot of street cred in the flight sim industry. You know, maps they produced and map features they produced for Microsoft Flight Sim, X-Plane, and others are really highly regarded. What I haven't seen out there since this map was released is a whole lot of what sound like, you know, sincere, honest opinions about the state in which this map came out in early access. There are some highs and there's some lows, you know, good things, bad things. So let's go ahead and dive into what this map is and what it isn't. Maybe help you make some decisions around if you're going to put your money down for early access or not. So one of the things that this map is big, you know, big, big. It is 670 nautical miles east to west, the landmass, and 360 nautical miles north to south. As this map develops, that's going to be a big honking chunk of land with a lot of great coastline and, you know, carrier operations access to the map almost all the way around it, which is going to be very cool. This map is also very big in another way. I mean, it's a chunk when it comes to installed size on disk. For me, installed, I'm at about 143 gig, which is about twice the size of any previous DCS map. That's twice the size of Syria, about twice the size of South Atlantic. It is, you know, all Lord, he coming. It is a chunky boy. So if you've got file size considerations, this might be a deal breaker for you. Bear in mind, this is going to take a big hit as far as, you know, available file size in your library. It's a big honking map. At 143 gig, the map is still virtually empty, which is interesting. You know, and honestly, the developed parts of the map give off a very Caucasus vibe, which I did not expect. I kind of expected this to have kind of a, I don't know, new, fresh look and feel. It's fancy Caucasus, you know, it is really what you see when you get into these developed areas, and the handful of airfields across it, most of them 180, 200 nautical miles apart from each other and points of interest. It definitely represents a challenge for mission planners right now as far as how far apart the air bases are and how much time your players are going to spend flying around this map in autopilot, managing their fuel, and not doing much else. You know, outside the developed areas and the handful of air bases, this map is empty wilderness, and also empty wilderness. It is a lot of proverbial flyover country. And some of it looks pretty wonky. You know, that's just kind of the reality of it. You know, ground textures below 10,000 feet, they look kind of blah. You know, they kind of leave you feeling like you need to get your eyes examined. They're kind of blurry. They've got this blotchy, washed out watercolor thing to them. You know, like the answer to the predominant ground layer texture was to give a 6-year-old kid a sponge and 3 colors of paint and said, just daub like hell, Timmy. It's not great down at low level. And it doesn't get better the lower you get. There are definitely functional air bases, so it's got that going for it. This is one of those air bases. This is also one of those air bases. Honestly, some of them look pretty cool. Unfortunately, this is Bodo, I think, is, sorry for those of you who live there, however you pronounce it. This one is like 500 nautical miles from anywhere. So it's a cool air base. It's one of my favorite airfields. It is so far off the western edge of the map that have fun. Facilities definitely needs to get the weed eaters out. Yeah, I mean, okay, to be fair, early access map, you're going to see lots of little artifacts like this. Nothing new, nothing unusual about this. This happens. Fair enough. We can still poke fun at it because we're DCS players. That's what we're going to do. We bitch. It's our thing. There is one road base, and I do say one. These will be cool, I think, if there's ever more of them and they get fleshed out a little bit. Neat concept. I'd rather have them than not have them. Right now, the one we have way down on the south end of the map, it's more of a novelty than functional or practical. The Murmansk corridor is probably the most developed part of the map, and honestly, it's okay. Again, very Caucasus vibe, Caucasus, anyway, Caucasus vibe. The bummer about, you know, this really well developed part of the map is that it's only about 10 nautical miles wide and about 60 nautical miles long. So even if you're in helicopters, you're going to feel like you're flying over a postage stamp before you're back, into the Sasquatch Wildlife Refuge. Take that for what you will. You could do a pretty good game of combined arms in the Murmansk area with a little bit of helo action from FARP to FARP or airbase to airbase around there. I don't know. It's useful, but when it comes to pointy nose fast jets and stuff, there's not a whole lot to do there, especially when you look at points of interest like this, like the sub bases around Polyarny and Murmansk. They are really cool. I'm not gonna lie, those are neat. Problem right now is that most of the map objects are not destructible yet, so don't bother, bombing them. That includes the submarines, all the warships that are in all the harbors around Murmansk. It seems like only about 1 in 5 buildings where we've done some big blast radius tests are destructible. Some catch fire and then the fire goes out. Some have destruction models that then culminate in the object disappearing from the map. It's real hard to tell if what few map objects are destructible. It's hard to tell what damage you've done to the map if you make any of these targets. Like I said, with none of the warships, the dams, the bridges, most of these are not, they don't have a destructible model in game yet. What does the map look and feel and fly like? All of the trailers focus on dramatic landscapes like this. And to be fair, that's cool. That's got a good vibe. Even though the ground textures are a little fuzzy. That looks nice. But in reality, most of the map looks like this. Like 80% of the map looks like this. And this, and this, and some more of this, and also that, and this too. So those dramatic landscapes and all that cool stuff that you're seeing in the trailers really is a micro minority of the map right now. And I don't know if that's going to change. I mean, this might be, other than texturing, this is the realistic topography. It's kind of like really green, swampy Nebraska or Iowa to a certain degree. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. Mixed feelings. This doesn't feel like it was ready for early access. What do I feel like I got for my, $55 purchase price, early access? I feel like I got a sample of Kola, a sample of what Kola might be. It's very difficult for me to use with my players. Nobody wants every mission in a map to be an hour of fuel management, flying on autopilot, 10 minutes of a high adventure, and then 30 minutes or an hour of fuel management back. You do those every once in a while, but the butts won't stay in the seats if that's the vibe you're working with as a mission planner. Which kind of comes back around to that. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. The mixed emotions players have had about this map is going to make it a real challenge, I think, as this map develops and improves, to get players engaged and get those, asses back in the seats, as Vegas would say. There are a lot of people who bought it, did have buyer's remorse, kind of made cat throwing up noises, and it's going to be a struggle to get them back. Some cool stuff is going to have to come out of this map to get some of those folks back, particularly with all the drama going on out there with ED related products right now and third-party developers and all that jazz. The confidence of I think the average consumers, or the average DCS player consumers, kind of low right now, kind of iffy. And this did not wow as far as an early access release. This is perfectly adequate sample of cola. Up to you whether or not you see $55, $60 in value here right now, or you want to wait for it to develop into the future. And please let me know in the comments, kind of where you're at. Have you bought it? How do you feel about it? You loving it? You have buyer's remorse? Are you ready to buy it? Not ready to buy it? Let me know. Outside of that, happy flying, guys, and I appreciate it. Good luck. Thanks.